We continue our afternoon session of Athabasca Uranium Companies with Azincourt Energy. This is one of the darlings of February. Azincourt now has drills on the ground. They're pulling core just south of NextGen's Arrow deposit. We welcome President and CEO Alex Klenman and Trevor Perkins, the exploration manager, to speak to you today. Alex, you have 15 minutes, and then we'll have a 5-minute Q&A session at the end. Attendees, please feel free to ask questions using the Q&A link. Thank you. Go ahead, Alex.
Thank you, David. And welcome to anybody who's joined us for this presentation. I'll try to be as quick and succinct as humanly possible. Azincourt is an exploration and development company with the emphasis on exploration. We're one of the few pure explorers who have survived, been able to survive a prolonged bear market. So we're proud of that. We're well funded. We have lots of institutional support. And we're active, as Dave mentioned. We are on the ground right now conducting our 2021 drill program. There's a standard disclaimer. I'm sure many of you have read them, and there it is. So all of the information is presented as reliable, but with the caveat that needs to be said. Our mission statement is not unlike anybody working in this space. We believe in clean energy. We believe the nuclear footprint is going to grow in time. Everything is pointing in that direction. Global nuclear reactor builds are up. The supply-demand scenario that we face cannot be ignored. There's going to be more and more need for the product itself, and we're on the cusp, we believe, of something very special. If you look at SPOT's history, 2007 and 2011 stand out as supply chain situations where you had supply being inked and the spot price rose incredibly in those two periods. We believe that's around the corner here right now. Quick look at management. Myself, I'm the president and CEO. I got involved with Azincourt. I was a shareholder. I got involved in 2017. I was asked to come in as interim CEO, which I did. The company was called Azincourt Uranium at the time. And again, in the throes of a bear market, we looked for ways to keep the company viable and alive in the downtime. So we changed our name to Azincourt Energy, got involved with lithium, again, a clean energy, initiative that we felt would fit with the name change. That gave us a couple of years of life. We got some funding and we were able to survive and continue our real mandate, which is to be a uranium explorer. Trevor got involved late last year. We wanted to bring on an active exploration manager who knows the basin and who knows and has made significant discovery and been involved with significant discovery, and Trevor has done that. You can read his bio there. There's plenty of accolades and plenty of important discoveries that he's been involved with. The rest of the board, Ted O'Connor and Paul Reynolds, both very high quality geologists. Ted, in particular, spent several decades in the basin. He worked for Cameco. He was recently the CEO of Plateau Energy Metals, a very unique deposit down in Peru. Again, industry overview. If you're unfamiliar with the sector, I'll spend 1 minute here telling you that there are significant supply deficits underway at the moment. There are dozens, if not more, big utility companies in the U.S. that need to replenish their supply and sign long-term supply contracts. That hasn't happened yet, and we believe the timing's right. Reactor builds are on the upswing. Reactor technology is better than it's ever been. And it looks like, the bull market that everybody's been waiting for the last several years is just around the corner. I know if anybody is like me, we've been saying this for a couple of years, but we have, we do know what we know. We know that supplies have to be inked, and that hasn't happened yet. So we expect that to happen soon. Our project portfolio primarily contains the East Preston project, Western Athabasca Basin, on the edge of the basin, technical about it. Azincourt just recently earned 70% of the project. We had an earn-in agreement with Sky Harbor Resources and Dixie Gold, which we have met. That included $2.5 million in project expenditures over the life of the agreement, and $1 million in cash payments, which we just satisfied. So we now have 70%. The majority holders of what we think is a fantastic project. That project contains 25,000 hectares in the western Athabasca. This is a premier location for uranium mining. Why we like the western edge more so than for us anyway, the basin itself is overburden. You're drilling typically 600, 700 or more meters down per hole in the basin, whereas the overburden is much less on the much less of a hindrance on the edges, and there's plenty of deposits and mines in our area. So we like being where we're at. Our holes are typically 200 to 250 meters, so much less cost-based to drill than you have typically in the basin. We have a large inventory of drill targets, over 25 kilometers of prospective corridors that have been delineated through multiple geophysics and ground evaluation programs. We'll discuss those momentarily. And we're located in an area that has literally over 10 billion in market cap in the immediate neighborhood. So for a little 25, 28 million, whatever we're at today, market cap, we're next door to Orano, billions, NextGen and others. So it's a great place for a small explorer to be. We also have a small group of concessions in Peru, which we'll speak to momentarily. But again, this is more of a sidecar project for Azincourt. Our main focus, our primary focus is in fact East Preston. Here's a quick map to show you where we are. We're in the western section here. The basin itself, this is the largest, highest grade uranium deposits in the world have been found by far. Production history is long, and obviously Canada presents a very stable political climate for mining. Here's our immediate area, the neighborhood that we spoke about. You've got Cameco, you've got Orano, you've got Fission, you've got NextGen, all in the immediate area. Our project size here is quite large for a small company, and we're attached to Preston. We're East Preston. This is Preston. Orano is under JV with Sky Harbor and Dixie Gold. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have Dixie Gold on it. Sorry to Ryan, Dixie Partners. This is an older graphic. In any case, this tenure is one of the largest tenures in the Athabasca. Here's the market caps in the neighborhood, as you can see, and here's us, one of the smaller companies in the area. That's again just a drill down on East Preston. We're located near NextGen. We're in spitting distance here to deposits and mines. So without any further ado, I'm going to throw this over to Trevor. He can get into a couple of the slides on the data to date, and we'll talk about drilling momentarily. Trevor, over to you.
All right, thank you, Alex. So since Azincourt has got involved with this project, we've run several geophysical surveys. There's a property-wide VTEM survey, airborne survey that identified a conductive corridor through the west central portion of the project, as is being highlighted there. This conductive package was then covered with ground surveys, ground EM and gravity surveys to help identify where exactly in this structural corridor we want to be. The reality of uranium deposits in the Athabasca Basin is that they are very closely associated with graphitic structural packages. That has to be in the area, so that's what we're looking for. The ground-based EM surveys help us identify where in this structural corridor we actually want to be. So next slide, Alex. So this slide shows the gravity survey we ran over the property, and you can see through the conductive corridor that was highlighted, you can see there's also a strong gravity anomalies showing up through there as well, indicating we've got conductivity coincident with gravity anomalies, which are identifying structures. So we're doing pretty good. We're in the ballpark of where we want to be. Next slide, Alex. So this is the conductive corridor that has been highlighted on the property, our main priority target. I mean, as you can see, there are several corridors that run through the property. We're focusing on the strongest one to begin with, our A zone and our A trend, which extends down through, it's labeled A1 through A8 on this map. This is where we've focused our efforts up to this point in terms of drilling as well. Next slide, Alex. To date, 12 holes have been drilled on the property, 13 if you include the drilling that is going on right now. Those drill holes have intersected good basement lithologies. Structures are running through these lithologies. The graphite is there. So we've got the graphite, we've got the structure, right? We're expecting to see it based on where the conductors are indicated on the map. So we're now focusing on the areas on these trends where we've got cross-cutting structures, breaking up the pattern we're seeing. And that's now our focus, because that's where we're going to be hoping to identify our uranium deposits.
Yeah, and I should mention what's amazing here, really, and what gives us a lot of confidence is we're seeing all of this very early in the game. You're only 12 holes in. Typically, uranium discovery takes a while. This is by the time this drill program is done, we'll have in the neighborhood of 20 holes drilled. We expect to be drilling 50, 60, or even 70 holes before we have a really good idea of what we're dealing with. Obviously, we'd like to see discovery happen sooner rather than later, and we'll be looking to accelerate the drill programs moving forward to be bigger and better. Rather than do 10 holes, we'd like to be doing 20 or 30 holes every time we hit the ground there, and we'll be looking at potentially doing summer work as well. So we believe very strongly, others do as well. We have great institutional support and some analyst support that provides validity to the quality of the project. We literally have dozens and dozens of stacked, layered grade A targets to drill. And again, we're only 12 holes in, just scratching the surface. I use the baseball analogy a lot. We're in the first inning of a 9-inning game. And our timing, I think, is great. We would like to be able to bring discovery to market in a robust uranium market. So if we're able to see spot move, and we think it will, and a lot of attention is brought to the sector. Right now, it's primarily institutional money flowing in, but when the retail environment get involved, we'd love to be able to bring discovery to the market. That'll have a dramatic effect on our market cap. We know what exploration discovery can do. So we have this great situation where we have this massive project. We have the majority, the 70% interest in it. We've earned that. We're drilling. We're seeing all of the right indicators, all of the right precursors. It's just a matter of time before we run into something. I mean, we're in the right place for it to happen. So, you like your odds when you start to stack these things up and take a look at it with a critical eye. I'll jump ahead and speak to Peru very quickly. We have a small package, a little over 7,000 hectares in Peru. This is the Picotani Plateau. This is Plateau Energy Metals up here, the Macusani deposit. There are other deposits in the neighborhood here. There's a lot of big companies like Rio Tinto and Minsur, others in the area. Our Escalera project is really our main focus. In 2018, we got on the ground there. We did our first groundwork, and we came up with really eye-popping numbers. We really like what we're seeing. We'd like to get back there. We weren't able to do it due to COVID in 2020, but it looks like we've worked things out. We're probably going to be on the ground there this summer, but it's a great secondary project for us to work in the summer months. And again, here's a quick look at the concession. There's a 4.5 kilometer trend that shows highly anomalous uranium in grab samples. There's another smaller section down here, 2 kilometers. There's even some lithium down in the southwestern section of the concession. So we'll be doing work there, but again, our primary project is Preston. Quick look at our cap structure. We've got a lot of stock out. We know that, but the sector tends to have more tolerant of higher cap structures. I mean, this is largely the result of being in a bear market and having raised depressed share prices. But we have a lot of money on the table with these warrants. There's a lot of warrants in the money. We're making, getting those brought in on a literally daily basis. We have almost 5 million in the bank right now, so we're funded, very strong in the treasury. We have institutional holders, some large funds that own just about 30%, or a little bit more probably, of the company. Insiders, family and friends, and close associates have another 20 to 25%. So that's a quick overview of what we're doing and who we are. And I'll throw it back to Dave if there's any questions or anything we can answer for that.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex. Trevor, right on time. So we do have a few questions in the queue right now. So I'd like to start here with the supply demand question up first. Can you speak to the current disconnect we're seeing in the market with undeniable demand and challenged supply, yet the juniors are rallying? Are investors finally waking up?
You know, we're in it's a head scratcher. A lot of people don't quite get that disconnect, but there's absolutely a disconnect. I was a distant observer of 2007, but 2011, I was right in the middle of it. And when it happens fast, and it happens on a move to the upside in a violent way. So we see that happening. I don't know why it hasn't happened yet. We keep getting this little hint that it may happen. The only thing that I can point out now that's different than the last couple of years, because there's been false flags the last couple of years, is that spot moved first in those false flags, and then money flowed, and people thought we were where we thought we'd be. Right now, we're seeing money flow ahead of spot moving. So I think there's an overall recognition that these long-term contracts, the supply side, hasn't been answered, thirst hasn't been quenched, but it has to happen. And we know that the U.S. utilities haven't been signing these long-term agreements yet. It's got to happen. So I think it's a little different than what we saw in the past. Certainly the influx of institutional capital in the last several months has been astounding. And it speaks to, I think, a very imminent move. To explain the disconnect, I don't know, maybe Dave's an expert. Dave could probably speak to it better than I can.
I think it comes from a long period of disinvestment. That's part of it. And secondly is you did have the spot price run from 25 to 30 bucks a pound late last year. So that was probably the large driver of what we're still seeing. So, are we at levels where it's going to incentivize new build? I don't think so. Maybe very few can actually produce at these levels, and maybe next gen's one of them, but we're still several years away from that one. So that's sort of my take on it. So
yeah, no, I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, sort of just on the same sort of topic. You've recently had your share price rise quite considerably.
Yeah.
Is this due to completion of the earn-in for Preston East? Perhaps maybe that you've financially de-risked with your recent equity raise, and then I'd just like to put that together with what is your cash balance, and are you shored up for this drill program, or do you need more?
Yeah, no. So the first part of that question it really came out of left field. We were just going about our business, and one day we wake up and, they traded, I don't know, 130 or 140 million shares over 2 days, and the stock went from, 5 cents to 18 cents, and my phone wouldn't stop ringing. It was ringing at 3 o'clock in the morning, overseas. It was amazing. And which is great. We always liked that. It actually caused a bit of an issue with us. We had more money on the table for the placement that we had already announced, and had to close the placement and freeze out a bunch of people who thought they might be able to get in because of the price action on that initial day when everything was crazy. Now, why did it happen? Maybe there was a recognition that we were probably undervalued. We are an active explorer. We have been drilling, and everyone knew we were about to be drilling again. So there's that, and maybe just anticipation that the 70% earn was about to be announced, which it was. Suddenly you find yourself in the spotlight, and you're happy that you are. So we're grateful. In terms of cash position, we've got about $5 million in the bank, which is a very strong position for a company that's got a 28 million market cap. And this drill program is 100% covered. And I even tried, and Trevor knows this, I even made inquiries if we could actually increase this program. It's not as simple as simply writing another check. There's permits, there's a lot of stakeholders in the area, First Nations and other people that need to be consulted before we can expand it. So we're also dealing with spring breakup right around the corner as well. So, can we expand it? No, not at this point, not to any great degree. Down the line, we look to be doing bigger, better programs in the neighborhood of 2 times what we're doing right now.
Okay, I want to get two more questions in, so very
Sure.
quickly here. Saskatchewan Research Council was doing a pilot project for rare earth extraction from uranium deposits sponsored by Cameco. Is there any potential for rare earths on the property?
I'll let Trevor answer that, because we did run into some rare earths elements in the last drill program that was suggestive of something, but it did take us by surprise. Trevor, do you want to tackle that at all?
Well, when it comes to the rare earths on the property and the potential for that, when you're finding uranium deposits, chances are pretty good you can find rare earths in the area as well. We've seen some indications that they are there, so we won't rule out the possibility that we could get ourselves into something like that as well. I mean, while we're focusing on uranium, if something else comes along, we got to take advantage of that as well.
Absolutely. And then very quickly here, can you touch on the lithium potential in Peru? Is it something similar to Plateau?
It's the same mineralization model that's further up the plateau, and that's exactly why we picked up the ground down there. So yes, there is lithium potential down there. There's also obviously greater uranium potential from our first round of work, but we'll be back there this summer. We'll be concentrating a little bit more on the lithium potential, and we're looking to grab more ground down there. We think we can expand the size of those concessions and increase our footprint.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thanks
you.
for joining us today.